All right, the clerk has indicated that we are ready to proceed at 6 o'clock here. Paul Doring, Mayor, welcome to the City Council meeting of July 28. We'll call the meeting to order, and we'll go right to roll call. Mr. Clerk.
Mayor Doring.
Here.
Vice Mayor Deasy.
Here.
Councilmember Barrick.
Here.
Councilmember Spoterato.
Here.
And Councilmember Diaz.
Here.
All right. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We're moving on to adoption of the agenda. Mr. Bradley, any changes to be noted, or Mr. McCann?
Just one. We would recommend that we remove item 11.1, which is an amendment to the zoning ordinance. It proposes changes to the regulations of outdoor storage. We had a little notice issue with that, so we want to renotice that and bring it back at an appropriate time. So we just remove that from the agenda.
All right, so noted. We'll be removing item 11.1. Any other changes to be noted? I'll look for a motion to adopt the agenda with the removal of item 11.1.
I'll make the motion to adopt agenda without 11.1.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt the agenda with the change noted. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. That motion passes. We move on to approval of the minutes. Any changes to be noted, Mr. Clerk? No. Colleagues, any corrections or amendments noted? To be noted, then I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes.
Can I ask a quick question on that? Can someone tell me why the resolutions don't have numbers on them? I just don't know. They're 26, blank.
So they get numbers in our system on the back end after they're approved.
And they don't actually get approved until the minutes are, I guess this is a dumb question, but I don't actually know. And they're not fully approved until the minutes are approved?
They're approved after the meeting, after you guys vote. So we do have the minutes. The resolutions are numbered in our files.
Are you talking reflected in the minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that, but we probably, at that point, the time the minutes are produced, I would imagine we probably know the resolution numbers.
Yeah, we can add them in the future.
That'd be great if it's not too hard.
Mystery solved.
I actually thought that was a very astute question. That should probably be something. I understand why there's a little delay because you don't know what resolutions will pass on a particular night, so you're counting in order, but within a couple weeks. So yeah, we'll do. Sounds like a reasonable request, and we'll do that. All right. I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. No, doesn't look like any oppose that. We're on to public forum. I'll note before I invite public forum from the public that's attending that we have received public comment in writing. It looks like there's an exchange of letters here from some of our constituents. Alan Galbraith has a couple. I noticed one. I think public comment number 3 would be from Mr. Belt, if I'm not mistaken, but
Alan submitted
with the permission
yeah.
of. Okay, so public comment 3 is from Mr. Belt. The other 3 are from Mr. Galbraith. I enjoyed reading those public comments. All right, so anyone from the audience wishing to approach your council and make public comment tonight? To anything that is not on the agenda? Right. Yeah. Correct. Unless it's a compliment.
Oh, it's for you.
Yeah, right.
Matthew Heil, 1837 Spring Mountain Court. When I was on the Planning Commission, I was at 1023 Valley View Street. And I just want to add one quick point of emphasis. At the behest of former Mayor Galbraith, we had a rather humorous exchange although the topic is not that humorous. In 2010, when I was on the Planning Commission, it came before us whether or not to approve a 63% rate increase. And needless to say, the citizens were not favorable of that. But after a lot of study and a lot of back and forth, I did put some comments on the record, and I remind the record that these were entered in, that if we were to, if that was the medicine we had to take, that we should take it then because of compounding effects. If we took any lesser, we would just continue to delay the necessary, needed kind of upgrades, et cetera. So he wanted me to remind the record that that comment was entered in, I think the meeting was November of 2010. I could probably find it, but that was just a thought. And I think that it's also in response to this grand jury report that he said, and I quote, was rather lousy, end quote, that there were a lot of good faith efforts made on the enterprise, on both the water enterprise and the wastewater enterprise, by those of us who sat in your seats at the time. Obviously, I think it's to this council and to this mayor's extreme gratitude for continuing that longstanding work. I will only add, as part of this public record, that as I sat at the corner of Oak and Adams this afternoon and watched, basically what can be only described as a construction site / war zone, it's so great to see that much needed work is finally getting done. And I know that there's so much, and there's so much passion, and so much ink, and frankly, blood has been spilled on these topics, on this topic of water, wastewater, et cetera. But I don't think it's fair to say that, everybody was kind of asleep at the wheel for a long, long time. I think it's important that people recognize, citizens recognize, that this was an extremely complicated, long overdue infrastructure upgrades, and that there were many people making good faith efforts, understanding that something like a 63% rate increase is extremely unpopular. So adding that to the record for my friend and former mayor, Alan Galbraith. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other witnesses for Mr. Galbraith? No, I appreciate the comments, excellent comments. Yeah, and thank you for that. All right. I don't see anyone else wishing to make public comment at this point. Of course, you have an opportunity to make comment along the way on matters that are on the agenda. Okay, we're on to item 7, reports by staff and city council, future agenda items, and AB 1234 reports. As I'm wont to do, I'll turn to our city attorney first for a report from our closed session of today. Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we had a closed session to discuss a liability claim received from Thompson Builders prior to this meeting, and there was no reportable action from that closed session. That concludes my report.
All right, short and sweet. Mr. McCann, anything else from staff?
Yes, thank you. We've got a handful of things that we'd like to share with the council and the community. The vast majority of these are really good ideas and good news. I'll start with $1 million good news matter. We heard from Anna Shuto from our congressman's office advising us that the request for funding through the Congressional Community Project Funding Program was awarded $1 million to the Native Sons project here in town.
Wow.
That requires some further action. It has to make its way through the House and the Senate, but usually those things have a relatively positive and easy road, so we'll see. So that's been a long way in coming and much needed, so super good news there. I've asked our Public Works Director to give us a little presentation on some good news around our streets. We've gotten our Street Saver report from Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and he'll do that in a flash. You all know about the accident which occurred that ran into our hydrant. We thought it would be a good idea to come forward and provide just an overview to you and also to the community. Part of that, too, is some lessons that we learned through that experience, and Joe will touch on that. I've asked Andrew to just bring us up to date on a new feature that will allow folks in the community to stay in touch with activities that are going on through our Civic Plus platform. And then also, there are opportunities for folks to participate in local government, both at the council level and on some of our boards and commissions, and Andrew can tell us about the dates that are there. We'll have a meeting on the 25th of August, your second meeting in August, and we'll be bringing our thoughts about a framework for implementation of the Blackburg study then, so folks can come and offer their input on that. We'll make sure that's well advertised on our website. And then finally, there's a fire safety preparation community meeting coming up later this month. Andrew, what time or what date is that?
It is this Thursday, I believe at 4.
There you go. So Andrew, can you fill us in on the Civic Plus feature and the available openings?
Yes, so the first one, we just launched it last week through the newsletter, but it's a new way for residents to stay informed on specific issues that can be on different planning projects, public works projects, like the Oak Avenue one, Main Street sidewalks, as well as get emailed public notices in addition to them being in various newspapers. We know that email might be more applicable to some residents. So they can sign up for any lists that they are interested in. They just go to our homepage, they click on the little Stay Informed button on the left side, and then click which lists they want to sign up for through the Notify Me, and then we will send emails as new information is available for each of those specific lists. The next is we have a variety of board and commission vacancies. We have Active Transportation and Sustainability Committee, the Library Board of Trustees, Parks and Rec Commission, and Planning Commission. All of those positions are open. People can apply for them. cityofsthelena.gov/city boards. And those positions will be open until filled. So as we get applications, we will bring them to the council for filling. And we will fill hopefully one position on ATSC this evening, but that will still leave 2 alternates, I believe. And then we have the election coming up in November. We have a variety of people that have already taken out papers, and some have turned in papers for mayor and city council. If anyone would still like to pull papers, you can still do that. The deadline to have all that paperwork submitted is August 7th at 4 p.m. If an incumbent does fail to file or does not wish to seek re-election, then the filing period is extended to August 12th at 4 p.m. And you can email me, city clerk, at cityofsthelena.gov for more information. You can also go to our website, cityofsthelena.gov/candidate info for information. And then a reminder to residents who are not seeking office, but as candidates do have to get between 20 and 30 signatures to become a candidate. Residents can sign up to 2 nomination papers for city council and up to 1 for mayor. That is, you can basically sign 1 nomination paper per spot that is available. So we have 2 spots available on city council and 1 for mayor. And then final announcement, National Night Out, put on by the St. Helena Police Department, will be next Tuesday, August 4th from 5 to 8, and that's over at City Hall on College and Pope. And now Joe.
Mr. Leach.
Want to make sure on. Thank you, Mayor and council members. Tonight, we do want to give you an update on Mr. McCann had reference to Street Saver. This is a software program that the Metropolitan Transportation Commission uses for all 9 Bay Area counties and all jurisdictions within those counties. And they use it for federal, state, and local funding as it relates to needs for street management and maintenance. And so this dashboard reflects a few things. It's difficult to see, but on the far left, the bar graph that's kind of shaded green, I'm going to assume that's the color, as I'm colorblind. But what it reflects is we had a pretty significant uptick in 22 and 3 as we did some significant paving projects. And then we've kind of plateaued since 24, 25, and 26 at around a pavement condition index of about 63. This current year, mid-year, this is as of the end of June, we have a pavement condition index of about 61. And with the several pavement projects that we have coming up pretty quickly, by the end of this year, we'll have Oak Avenue paved. We'll have Hudson repaved. First part of next year will be Sulphur Springs and a few other projects that we've got. I think McCorkle is in there as well. And so those should bring our PCI up probably in excess of 65 to 68. It'll be interesting to see how that is reflected. But staff goes in and actually adjusts the pavement condition index as we do operations, whether it's a full, what we call mill and fill reconstruct, or crack sealing, or a microsurface. We're going in and adjusting the pavement condition index to reflect those operations. So you'll see those uptick in the not too distant future. And with that, I'll field any questions you might have.
I might just note that that's really a remarkable increase. If you look back in 2021, when the pavement condition index was at 50, which is I think a generally poor condition. In 5 years, we're going to be up to about 68. So, I mean, that just reflects the movement that's garnered by regular investment in that paving project. And we spend about $2 million a year, is that right?
Correct.
So that's excellent. Once we get it up to a certain level, whatever our standard might be, then you're able to taper off that regular and just move down into a much more cost-efficient maintenance realm, which is really great.
Questions from my colleagues?
You.
Vice Mayor?
Can we ask a question? Thank you.
Certainly.
Can we ask a question on one of his comments?
Sure.
Okay. Can you repeat the part about when the efficiency study input will be coming from staff, and is that to a general city council meeting?
Yes, so August 25th, that's the second meeting in August, we'll be bringing our staff report that will have some recommended framework for the document.
I wanted to, if it's appropriate, to suggest that possibly there's a follow-up study session. I just know how hard it is for us to dig in to all of that. So maybe
Sure.
once we've been able to absorb the recommendations, I wonder if in early September or mid-September, there could be a study session that's a little bit more open with the council and the finance committee and members of the public, so that we could
We can
deeper.
certainly anticipate that, have the conversation on the 25th, and anticipate moving to a study session.
Thank you. And maybe start thinking about the calendar in advance.
Yes.
Okay. Does that complete the report from the staff, Mr. McCann? for now?
Yes, and then I think Joe will have more to talk about on the water matter in just a flash.
All right. We don't have any other presentations under item 8. We're moving on to item 9, if I'm correct. Staff brief.
Back to Joe to talk about the,
Yeah. Water service and quality discussion following this event on July 18th.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council and members of the public. I'd like to provide you a brief summary of the we call it the Brown Water event. I think that's, I don't know that that's gaining any traction. From about 2 weekends ago, including the city's operational response, our communications efforts, and I would say one very important lesson that you'll see that we've actually identified and put into practice as recently as this past weekend. On Saturday afternoon, July 18th at about 4:45, a commercial bus, a tourist bus, struck a fire hydrant on Main Street. The damaged hydrant discharged approximately 4,500 gallons of water per minute until the flow was stopped about 20 minutes later. While fire, police, and public works crews responded immediately to the isolated the break and restored normal system operations, that sudden hydraulic demand created an unusually large change in water flow throughout much of our distribution system. As many of you know, rapid changes in water velocity can disturb naturally occurring iron and manganese deposits that have accumulated inside older water mains over many decades. These deposits became suspended in the water, resulting in widespread but temporary discoloration in several neighborhoods. From an operational standpoint, our first priority was stabilizing the water system. Beginning Sunday morning, Public Works crews implemented an aggressive system-wide flushing program, ultimately flushing more than 400,000 gallons of water to remove suspended sediment. Staff continuously monitored customer reports, adjusting flushing locations based upon field observations and system hydraulics, and verified improvements throughout the community. Communication was equally important to our response. The city issued a series of public updates explaining what had occurred, what residents could expect, and what actions crews were taking. Residents were encouraged to report discoloration through the Grapevine app. Those reports were not simply logged, they became an operational tool. Staff mapped complaint locations, compared them with field observations, adjusted flushing priorities accordingly, and then followed up with customers to verify that corrective actions were working. Beginning Monday afternoon, Public Works staff personally contacted nearly every resident who submitted one of the approximately 100 Grapevine reports. And we made those contacts by phone, email, or directly through the app if the person had reported anonymously. And really the purpose of that was to confirm if they had, the water clarity was becoming better, and then to determine whether additional flushing was needed and answer questions directly. We continued that outreach through midweek until every report had either been resolved or appropriate follow-up had occurred. The event also generated inquiries from state regulatory agencies and a regional news media. Staff responded promptly to those inquiries and provided consistent factual information regarding the cause of the event, our operational response, and the progress of system recovery. Today, the system is largely returned to normal operation. While isolated reports may still occur as localized deposits, as localized deposits settle, overall water clarity has improved significantly and customer reports have declined substantially. Let's see, sorry. Oh boy. Lessons learned, where did we go? Oh, one lesson has already emerged from this event. Operationally, our crews responded quickly to stop the water loss, stabilize the system, and begin flushing. Looking back, however, we identified an opportunity to improve the timing of our initial public communication following the significant hydraulic disturbance. While our first priority was appropriately restoring system operations, an earlier advisory informing residents that temporary discoloration was likely going to occur, and we could have better managed those expectations and reduce uncertainty during those first several hours. That improvement is already being incorporated into our emergency response procedures. And while this event was understandably frustrating for many residents and businesses, it also demonstrated the value of two-way communication. The resident reports, and referenced previously, helped direct field operations, and our follow-up with customers confirmed that our corrective actions were working. We'll continue to build on both the operational and communication lessons from this event as we move forward with ongoing investments in water treatment, distribution system maintenance, and capital infrastructure improvements. But this lesson learned has not been resolved solely for water issues. This past weekend, when the Calistoga St. Helena 911 and non-emergency dispatch phone lines went down, staff incorporated measures to communicate through Everbridge and Alert Napa County, social media, and our website each time they occurred. So the public was informed. And with that, I thank you and be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments from my colleagues? All right, thank you for the report. Do you have anything else to add,
Well,
Vice Mayor?
I'll ask a few questions if no one else wants to. Yeah. Joe, can you tell us about the lab? It sounded like some labs were sent off, so we know a little bit more about the water.
Yeah, so during when there's a pressure loss in a system, typically if it goes below 5 pounds per square inch, the state requires us to test that, and really testing it for bacteriological testing, so the presence of bacteria, and we did that. Even though the system didn't go below 5 pounds, we did test that anyway, and the results came back negative.
Okay, and so that tells us something about the event. Like, does it tell us that that no and while it seems illogical that other stuff could get in, but some people wondered if things could have been entering the system from other places, and that kind of tells us that that's not the case.
Correct.
I have another question. A few people noticed that we might have gotten a free flushing or something like that. So, and maybe we could remind people that we are actually doing this, but in a more controlled way where we capture the water and notify people in advance, and it's not quite so brown. But do we have any idea, like what, I don't know, how much gunk came out, and did we make any progress, or where did that happen? Do we
It
know
all went to
anything
my
about that?
house.
So I'm hearing you wonder if we've quantified locations and kind of
Or
gone
know
through that
any,
level.
know anything.
Yeah, I think that the best data that we have are the Grapevine reports. We've got the quantity of water, but we haven't, when we flush, we don't capture the sediment that comes through that because we're flushing at such a higher velocity. So, yeah, I think that the data in terms of the magnitude of debris in the system is still unknown.
Okay. And do we know anything about the iron and manganese levels during the event, or will that be reported maybe at a water committee meeting?
We don't. I mean, we could compare it with what we collected out of the pilot program. When we did, at the beginning of June, we did a report to the Water Wastewater Advisory Committee, the pilot program, where we flushed about 7 miles of pipeline using a recirculating system. And we've got labs from that, but it's somewhat false because it's highly concentrated in filters, the iron and manganese that came out of that, so it's not completely representative of something that's diluted along a pipeline.
Okay. Well, thank you, and thank you
Yeah.
for, I think you making that point that you've actually, when you talked about new processes in place, that is something new where people will get water alerts via what we used to know as Nixle. Is it,
Nixle.
that's correct? Or,
Yeah,
okay,
Nixle,
whatever. Okay, thank you very much.
Certainly,
The lesson learned from my house, Mr. Leach,
certainly, sir.
Mr. Doring, do your laundry in the morning. A lot earlier than I did that day. So yeah, that was a disaster. I had just purchased several shirts. Like, okay, they're all well, but we'll see. Any
Mr.
other
Mayor,
questions?
Just a
Mr. Barrett.
comment based on some of the resident voices. It'd be great to share regularly. Sometimes people miss messages of what the wastewater committee partnering with your department has been doing to get their hands around where we are with the water, and that there is improvements coming. I know Vice Mayor Deasy often speaks about this, and thank you. I think more of that would be good. I've found that some people just think nothing's really been done.
Certainly.
And there's some hope there. It's not all great news, but I think things are going in the right direction there, and it'd be great to just keep, it's not tooting your own horn, but just informing people what we're doing, right? A lot of people don't know there was a pilot program.
Correct. Great
Right?
suggestion. Yes.
Thanks.
And then, Mr. Mayor, just
Yes.
2 things to add. One, we are looking at how best to bring a claim against the bus company, and then also exploring some method to provide a credit to folks in town, because 400,000 gallons went through our system. Lots went through their systems, too. And then there were also a number of things that were damaged or ruined by virtue of this. We're trying to figure out how best to do that, both for this instance and then into the future when we have other instances of discolored water. It just seems right to provide a credit to folks who have water that they can't use. So we'll be bringing that to you at some point in the future.
All right. Thank you for the reports. More information is always better, and more timely information is good. And so, yeah, we are learning our lessons, and we're getting on top of it. Unfortunately, we will probably have some more of these events going forward, not necessarily this kind of event, but things happen, and there's still a lot of mineral deposit in our pipes.
Correct.
So, all right. We're moving on to item 10, the consent calendar. Look to my counsel first for any need for extended discussion on any of the items 10.1 to 10.8. Vice Mayor.
I'd like to pull 10.3. Second reading and adoption of the ordinance, I'm sorry, wait, is that right? Yeah, the purchasing authority, is that, did I get one?
Okay. Anyone from the public wishing to pull an item for more discussion? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council. Look for a motion to adopt the consent.
I'd like to pull 10.7.
Okay, ask a question. All right. Okay, we have 10.3, 10.7. Look for a motion to adopt the balance of the consent calendar with the exception of 10.3 and 10.7, which we'll take up afterward.
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar with the exceptions noted. Mr. Bradley, roll call, please.
Councilmember Barrick,
Yes.
Councilmember Spoterato,
Yes.
Councilmember Diaz,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Deasy,
Yes.
Mayor Doing.
Yes. Okay. Item 10.3, I don't know whose item that is, but I'll turn to you, Mr. McCann. You can have a very brief overview of the item, and then we'll get to the comments or questions by the Vice Mayor and the public.
Yes, so this is a second reading of an ordinance that was introduced to amend a provision of the municipal code providing authority to the city manager for execution of purchasing agreements and various contracts.
All right, do you have any particular questions before I open it to comment?
Yes, well, I don't know if it's a question,
comment.
it's a request, I guess. I wondered if, we don't really currently have that much visibility into spending outside of, you know, the budget and then the financials, which is pretty big. So I wanted to request if we could get like a quarterly summary of cumulative expenditures by vendor, so that it's there. I know we've got some other reports that come out quarterly or monthly or whatever, but I think that would be helpful to see. That was my request.
Mr. McCann?
Yes. So we should be providing quarterly presentations to the council around a variety of things related to the budget, and we will do that.
All right. We have been in the past, I don't know if they're quarterly, but I've received a lot of statements.
We've got some conflicting policies. We have some language in the municipal code and then in our financial management policies. We have brought reports to the council in the past quarterly. Some folks thought that was maybe too much, so we moved that back to every 6 months or so. I think quarterly is fine. We get into a rhythm. It's easy on staff. It's informative to the council. So we'll try that, and then we can back off if you want us to.
Yeah, thank you for refreshing my recollection. I do remember we have more frequently than, it's a long list, and you see a lot of check numbers and amounts. You really, there's not a whole lot of, it gets mind-numbing to look at them.
Yeah, I think it's good to get everybody up to speed on it, and
Yeah,
then
that'd be fine.
once you're satisfied, we can back off and make it less frequent if you wish.
All right. All right, so I'll look for a motion to adopt, 10.3.
I'll make a motion to adopt 10.3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Barrick,
Yes.
Councilmember Diaz,
Yes.
Councilmember Spoterato,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Deasy,
Yes.
Mayor Doing.
Yes, and thank you for the comment and request that we all seem to be in consensus on. We'll go to 10.7. I'll look to you, Mr. McCann, to give a brief.
Sure.
Well, is that you, Mr. McCann, or whoever you want to have?
I'm happy to
staff?
do it.
Okay, thank you.
And Joe can correct me if I get this wrong. But a couple months ago, April, you all authorized us to go out and purchase and install a dwelling unit up at our water treatment facility at Bell Canyon. We've done so. We've purchased the unit, and we intend to put it in place. This resolution will authorize us to do that. We have budget already. In fact, the work by our project manager, Mario Traverso, has reduced the cost about $15,000 from what the initial bid was. And so we're in good shape. And if you will authorize this, we expect to have that trailer that we own brought over and installed very soon.
All right. Questions or comments before I open it to comment from the audience, from the public?
Question. So this is a general question, but related to this. So the bid was for 114,000 and change, and then there was a contingency of 28,000 approximately, which puts the total at 142. The staff report stated that there was no financial impact, but there's a small impact. It's over budget if you include the contingency. My question is when we look at relative to budget, are we including the contingencies, or are we just including the original bid amount?
Yeah, actually, I don't think there's an increase at all. Joe can maybe walk us through that, but we had a contingency. We're actually adding to that contingency from some of the savings from a more favorable bid. Joe?
Yeah, just to clarify, the contingency of the 28,000 that's referenced in the staff report, 28,407, that's the overall project contingency, not just for the install. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But there's a more general philosophical point to be made there. I guess the point to be made, maybe not exactly on this one, but the general question would be, so when we ask, is there a fiscal impact? Are we saying, okay, the fiscal, for example, it's $100,000, maybe there's a $20,000 contingency. Are we counting the potential for the contingency going over a budget that we have? It's not the case here, but in general, do we
Sure.
count that when we analyze fiscal impact?
So I can say that the project has a fiscal impact of $370,000 or so, and some of that includes a contingency. So it's both purchasing it, getting it over here, putting in a propane tank, putting in some other ancillary things, and then also a contingency, which maybe we're not going to spend. And if we don't, then that goes back into our funds. And if we find that, the conditions are different than we thought and we have to do a different kind of foundation or more grading, or we end up saying, I don't know, maybe we need a different roof element, then that's what the contingency is for. But that's all within the budget that the council has already authorized. So this action doesn't increase that at all.
All right.
Okay.
Anyone wishing to comment on this matter? All right, I'll close public comment, bring it back. I'll look for a motion on 10.7.
Motion to put 10.7.
All right.
Approval.
Motion to adopt 10.7. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Thank you, Councilmember and Vice Mayor. Mr. Clerk. I was going back and forth. Mr. Andrews, Mr. Clerk, Mr.
Councilmember Diaz.
Bradley. Thank you.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Deasy.
Yes.
Councilmember Barrick.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatarato.
Yes.
Mayor Doing.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'd just like to, again, compliment Mario. He's done a really great job on this. It's been a unusually difficult thing, but he stayed with it, and I think his doggedness is going to deliver this thing and actually make it a little bit less expensive than it otherwise would have been. So that's great.
Yep, thank you for that. As we announced when we adopted the agenda, item 11, the public hearing will not be heard tonight. That will be heard at another time, hopefully soon, get that matter resolved for some of our local business people waiting to get their storage issues lined up and ready to go. Okay, we're now on to old business, 12.1. I'll turn to you, Mr. McCann, to introduce the staff member and the
Yes.
item in general.
I think our Director of Community Services is going to present this for us. Hello, Ashley.
Good evening, Council.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. We are back to you with the St. Helena Little League Agreement. And we'll go ahead and just a quick refresher on this agreement and why we're back to you tonight with it. So through the background of it, obviously 1966, the original agreement of land leased to the Little League to develop the ball fields and implement the Little League program. Going through that timeline, bringing us all the way to this year in January 2026. This was previously presented. There were some points of concern from Little League board members and the public as well. So staff came back in talks amongst ourselves and our city attorney to take out a contingency, which we'll talk, not a contingency, sorry, a clause that we'll talk about in a little bit further detail in just a few slides. Next slide, please. So just a recap of our facility use. So Little League season is January to June. Their postseason July 1 to July 31st, which they do very well, so we always plan on that. Our off-season is August to December, and so at that time, city or others approved by city users may schedule programming during this time, and this remains open to the community when not scheduled for use for just open use of the field space. Next slide, thank you. So maintenance responsibilities, and this is further in the agreement as well, but just some highlights from the city. So the city does mow the outfields year-round and the infields during the off-season. The irrigation system and the water that goes to that, trimming of the trees and managing, and then we also provide space for the St. Helena Little League board meetings at Carnegie. And we pay and provide all utilities for the St. Helena Little League fields out at Crane Park. And then St. Helena Little League during their season, they mow and maintain those infields, prep the fields for play, any minor irrigation repairs that we have out there, and then manage temporary signage that you see on the outfields out there. And they do definitely a lot more to get ready for that season that you'll see them out there in preseason getting ready for. But next slide, please. So as part of this agreement, we have a steering committee, and that consists of St. Helena Little League representatives, as well as our recreation supervisor, Kevin McLeod, and then our operations manager, Carlos Uribe from Public Works. They sit on that committee. They'll meet at minimum twice annually. If other things do occur that need to be addressed, they will meet accordingly, but at least twice annually. And we'll be responsible for reviewing and setting the facility standards as a joint committee, and then also regular communication and ongoing collaborations between the city and St. Helena Little League. Next slide. And so this is the term length that we're looking at, and on the next two slides here, I'll kind of go over what was requested to be discussed at the January meeting. So the most recent current agreement, since we're not in this 20-year agreement yet, is for 5 years with automatic annual continuations. And so St. Helena Little League and the city are requesting a 20-year term agreement to be approved. And so that, again, is to support the St. Helena Little League capital fundraising efforts and just continuity of the programs that happen out on the Little League fields. So in 2018, the agreement that was in front of us had a 90-day written termination notice for any reason. That was previously requested to be removed by St. Helena Little League, and we had it kept in there. However, in this agreement you see now, we have removed that clause, so there's no more termination for any reason clause in there. And the city attorney did advise staff of potential risks that could be on the city for that. That's in the staff report as well. However, we, acting in good faith with St. Helena Little League as well as the city and our continued partnership, have removed that. And then next slide, please. And so in the contract, this was noted after the agenda was posted that this section 11 in terms was previously in there and was mistakenly removed. So that would be looked to be added back in there. And that's just with the continuation of this agreement after the 20 years that it will automatically renew unless either party chooses to engage in negotiations. So we'll look to add that in there, and then just adding inclusive language for softball into a variety of sections. The softball program is alive and well in St. Helena Little League, and that was not previously in there. So those are just a couple of the caveats that didn't make it onto this current agreement in front of you, but those are additions I will ask with the city attorney once approved by council. Next slide. Thank you. Hopefully play ball. And I will field any questions if the council has any questions.
Any brief clarifying questions before I open it to public comment? Mr. Barrett?
This is for Mr. Walsh. I just want to understand from a legal perspective, are you recommending council to sign this?
So I would say my position on the term hasn't changed from what it was, but ultimately I think staff is comfortable based on the long-term partnership and the desire to work with Little League and the belief that they can work with Little League for the long term, that the risks that I outlined at the last meeting are something that they're willing to kind of accept as a possibility in the city, and Little League will be able to work together. But I would say, you know, I advised you of the legal risks last time. Those still exist. I advised you of what I see in other similar contracts across the state. That hasn't changed. So, you know, my position is the same, but obviously I'm not the only factor into the decision that you make.
Thank you. I remember the discussion.
Others? All right, let me open it to public comment. Receive any, if necessary. All right. One item that I want to see clarification on may not be exactly how you intended to say it, but there is the ability to terminate the contract on breach, correct? Which is highly unlikely, but maybe I'll go to you, Mr. Walsh, first, and then if there's any clarification.
That is absolutely correct. In the event of breach by either party, the agreement can be terminated, or upon the dissolution of Stanley and Little League.
Right. All right. Anything else to add to this mix? I'm going to close the public comment, bring it back for deliberation. Any comments or other items to discuss here? If not, I'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Can I jump in with that? Can we make sure that it's clear that we're adding in the section 11? Did I follow correctly?
Yeah, so that needs to be added into it, so it's just with the additions that we noted in the staff report. Thank you.
20 years renewal unless either party gives notice 1 year prior.
Correct.
Motion to adopt as with the language Mayor Doring just stated.
And there was one other provision,
item.
right?
It's just the inclusive language that we have, but it doesn't do anything with the contract.
With
for that
the
title.
inclusive language, please,
For softball?
for softball.
All
I'll
right.
second.
All right, Mr. Barrick, thank you. And there was a second. I'll have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Barrick.
Yes.
Councilmember Spoterato.
Yes.
Councilmember Diaz.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Deasy.
Yes.
Mayor Doring.
Yes. Congratulations, and thank you for your service to our community. All right. Thank you. Great. Good job. All right. Let's see where we are. New business.
Thank you, Ashley.
Looks like we can take item 13 fairly quickly before, if anybody needs a break, but let's move through this item. Mr. McCann, you can introduce the staff member to bring this up, and we'll go from there.
Brad, or Andrew, are you presenting this? Perfect.
All right, please do so.
So this is a resolution to approve a new member to the Active Transportation and Sustainability Commission for a term that is currently vacant. It would expire June 30th, 2027. There would still be 2 additional alternate positions expiring on June 30th, 2028. The candidate is Antoinette Freeman. She does live outside of the area in Angwin, but has strong ties to St. Helena. And also sustainability. She actually had worked as an intern for the city a year and a half, 2 years ago as well, and performed well with the sustainability factor, and has continued that type of a role in her future endeavors as well. And the rules with participating within the ATSC do allow for the council to approve someone who does not live in the city to be on the committee. That is all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Any initial questions, Mr. Bradley or staff? Seeing none, I'll open it to public comment. Any comment on this item? I'll bring it back to the council. Any other comments before I'm going to make a motion here, but
Are we granting the exception for this role only, or is that something we need to
it's
look
ad
at for
hoc, case by
future?
case.
It's case by case.
Case by case, okay.
I've gotten to know Antoinette over the years that she's worked here. I've run across her in Calistoga. She worked in Calistoga. Really, even though she is out of our community, she's close enough. She's an exceptional person. She's very highly qualified, and she has a deep interest in the exact subject matter that she's being appointed to fill space. I think we're lucky to have her, and so I will make the motion to approve her application and approve the exception to our policy. She lives outside our jurisdiction, make an exception on this, in this one case. So there's the motion, not very articulate, but you get my drift.
Second.
I will second.
All right, any further discussion? And I'll look for roll call, please.
Mayor Dory,
Yes.
Councilmember Barrick,
Yes.
Councilmember Spoterato,
Yes.
Councilmember Diaz,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dizzy.
Yes.
Thank you. Slight delay there. I'm so used to voting last, which I love. Sometimes I forget. No, I have to vote. Okay. Thank you for that support. All right. And welcome aboard, Antoinette Freeman, and others in the community looking for a place to do public service. There are a lot of committees where we have openings, as was announced by the clerk. So please do check those out. And if anybody wants to talk to me about any of those positions, I'd be happy to talk to you, or any of our other council members who've served on those commissions in the past. All right. We are now on to exciting times, 13.2.
Yes, we are. So this is the annual comprehensive financial report and independent auditor's report of internal controls over our financial reporting. So this is an important presentation and a really important document. The city publishes the annual report each year in order to disclose and share financial information, as well as to comply with a number of state and federal requirements and covenants that are included in our bonds that we might issue. We're typically finished with the audit and its reports by the end of the year. January, February is usually when it's all wrapped up and we bring a report to council. This is July, so we're later than our normal time. That delay is due to a number of factors. Part of it is that we have a different auditing team this year, which is good. It's a best practice to change your auditor from time to time. The downside, though, is that we have some maybe just rough passes of the baton, a little bit of learning for both sides, and so it tends to delay the delivery, which is exactly what has occurred this year. I would expect that in future years we'll be back on our normal cycle and have a report to you all at the beginning of the year. The annual comprehensive financial report is available on our website, so anybody can take a look at it. It's accessed through a link in the staff report, or you can just go right to the website. It has about 185 pages or so there's tons of information for folks to check out and learn about their city. What's important to me, a variety of things are, but one of the things that's important is that the independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting disclosed that there were no instances of significant deficiency or material weakness at all. They also found that there was one instance of non-compliance with some provisions of the compliance related to major federal programs. That relates to filing a form or filing the form that is necessary with the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. We filed that form a few months later than normal. But what one wants to find when looking through an audit is that issue of any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, because that goes directly to our controls, our internal controls, our reporting, our accounting, and what our independent auditor found in their work is good, that we have no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. So we should be buoyed by that, and we should congratulate the good work of our Administrative Services Director and Treasurer, who is here to introduce this item and introduce folks from the audit team.
Yeah, thank you very much, City Manager McCann. So I'm going to turn it over now to Addie Harshwell from Harshwell and Associates. They are our new auditing firm for this for fiscal year 2025. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. This is Adi Harshwal. I'm one of the partners in Harshwal and Company. I'll go ahead and share my screen and go through a quick PowerPoint presentation and take it from there. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. So it's a brief PowerPoint presentation where we talk about the audit results and go through a few of the financial statement analysis. As it was earlier mentioned, it is an unmodified opinion. It's a clean opinion. There were no material weaknesses identified in the internal controls, no significant deficiencies. Federal awards, it's an unmodified opinion. No material weaknesses identified and no significant deficiencies reported. I also want to add that we received full cooperation from the administration and full support during the audit process. We experienced no issues during the transition and during the audit process itself. Here we talk about the statement of net positions. It compares the 2024 and 2025 financials, so you can see the trends. As you can see, the net position has increased from 96 million to 100 million. In this analysis, we separate the net investment in capital assets, the restricted funds and unrestricted funds, and to see the trends and how it is bifurcated between the restricted and unrestricted funds. Here we talk about the program revenues, the general revenues and expenses, and doing a comparison again with the 24 financials with 25. As you can note here, the changes in net position compared to fiscal year 24 has gone down. And the reasons are further explained in the audit report itself. If you want me to identify, it's on page number 8 of the audit report. If you don't mind, I could share that quickly. So here are the 3 reasons why there is a change in the net balances. And this is on page number 8. In this slide, we specifically focus on the governmental activities and try to look at how we are doing here. And as you can see, the change in net position is mainly focused on the governmental activities. as also highlighted in the audit report. In this slide, we specifically look at the business type activities, and this has been fairly stable. And as you can see, the changes in net position is very similar to fiscal year 24. If there are any questions, I'm happy to address them. And as it was previously mentioned, there were some delays during the transition, and that is understandable, but we are fairly confident that the next fiscal year audit for 26, we would start in time and make sure that we finish in time.
Colleagues? I'll open it to public comment, invite public comment.
Gary Rose, and I just want to mention that he mentioned no significant deficiencies, but on the PowerPoint presentation for the second heading, it actually showed significant deficiencies. So there's just a point, I think it's a mistake.
I noted that also. I was going to
Yeah.
ask a question. You can see it right in the staff report. There's two conflicting statements there. Ms. Kellogg.
Yeah, I can clarify that. There
Please.
was one significant deficiency identified under the federal awards section for noncompliance because the single audit was not submitted within 7 months of the close of the fiscal year. And we did get that submitted recently. This is the first year that we've actually been late with the reporting of the single audit, and part of it had to do with the transition that we experienced and also some staffing shortages that we had during fiscal year 25. But we do have protocols in place to ensure that they'll be submitted on time in future years.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rose, for pointing that out. I did note that also. Any other questions or comments from my colleagues? What is the proper motion to be made here? Accept?
It's to receive and file, yes.
Review and file. No motion necessary? Okay. Anything I need to know? All right, good. Any other questions or comments, Ms. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I would ask a couple of questions. You know, the sales tax was down in 24, 25. Do we know where we are this year? I mean, it's sort of, yeah, that's my first question.
Yeah, so it is trending better this year than what it was compared to in fiscal year 25. Our initial projections that we had at the beginning of fiscal year 26 were fairly low, and then when we brought our mid-year report to council, there was actually some adjustments to increase the original projections because it is trending higher than what was originally anticipated. We haven't received all of fiscal year 26 yet. It's about 2 months behind, so we won't actually receive the full year until about the third week of August.
Okay. And so, I mean, it's hard not to notice, right, the revenues here and the expenses here, and I don't, well, so how, I know we've got a tax measure that will be on the ballot. Are we thinking about those in other ways? Is that something we should discuss when we have a study session? Or should we be thinking about economic development in more robust, whether it's a citizens committee or something, or what? How are we just thinking about the future beyond the sales tax measure, which I do recognize?
Do you want to take this, Manager?
That's a good observation. And it's not one that is new. It's one that this council and previous councils have discussed for years. We do have an imbalance in our budget, and the council has recognized that and taken action to place a measure that would address that by raising some $2 million. In addition to that, though, there are opportunities for us to make our service more efficient. The Blackberg report has identified a number of those. And then you're correct that there's also a role for economic development, both renovation of older properties, obsolete buildings, and then consideration of new development. And there are new development proposals that are active in the planning department, and they'll be before this city council, I would expect, in coming months. And you have an opportunity then to take action on those. And so it's really a combination of things. One, addressing the imbalance. Presumably, our voters understand that and will support us in that later this year. And then capturing those things that Blackberg has identified and other items that staff has, we'll bring those forward. We'll be looking at the currently adopted budget later this year in fall, and you'll have an opportunity to react to recommendations from staff for adjustments to that, and we'll bring ideas about budget savings and ideas for new initiatives as well.
Thank you. I'm going to keep going.
Well,
go.
I've let this go a little bit, but that's really not quite the subject matter that we're addressing. It's the annual audit. I mean, it's a close call, but if we go too far afield in terms of talking about the policies going forward, we're really going a little bit outside of the scope of the hearing. What say you, Mr. Walsh? I don't want to be hardened on this, but I just don't want to have an extended discussion there.
I think so. I mean, I think it's fine for Mr. McCann to kind of say these are things we're going to take forward in the future, but getting into an extended conversation about it is not really appropriate.
All right. What do you think about your next question? Will it fall in that or not? If it is, I'm
Well,
okay with it.
That's okay. I'll take it out. Like, I guess I never know. When do we get to discuss that? I guess that's my question. I thought we were like waiting for the audit, but we can't discuss.
Well, the audit is an important piece. It provides information about the last year, the last 2 years, and also more than anything, kind of confirms what we've already been talking about. And so it confirms the statements that have been provided. It confirms the imbalance that we see. It confirms our practices, which is good. So that gives everybody a common playing field, a common foundation to start from. We can then build upon that knowledge and that certainty as we look forward, and we'll be doing that in conjunction with budgeting and I presume other discussions, as we discussed earlier about our plans for Blackberg, having a study session. We can identify what we want to talk about there. There's no doubt that there's a need to have a broader discussion, council-led, about strategic planning and where we want to go, how we want to address those things. But Mr. Doring is correct. That's probably for another agenda item than this one.
I have one question.
Mr. Barrett.
And it's around the expense revenue gap. I was surprised. I know we've had a gap for a number of years, maybe even a decade, but I was surprised with the percentage gap, 11% growth in expenses and 0.3% or something around there of growth in revenues. Is that cause for concern, a harbinger of what's coming? Because in the previous calculations, I know on the Finance Committee, we've talked about, and maybe because we've aggregated it, it's about a 2% gap. So it popped out, and I think Vice Mayor Deasy alluded to it. But just doing the math, that's significant. Do you have any comments on why? Is it a one-time item with expenses or just the cost of doing business?
You could say some of it is one-time items, but the majority of it is the cost of doing business. We've seen a huge increase over the past couple of years in our healthcare costs, our property insurance, liability insurance, as well as workers' comp, and those are going to be steady increases that we're seeing moving into future years as well. But we do also have some higher contract costs because of projects that we're moving forward, and those won't necessarily continue at the same rate that they did in that particular year.
Okay. Thank you.
Other comments or questions from my colleagues? All right. Receive and file, correct? No motion necessary, correct, Mr.? Okay, we will receive and file it.
And thank you to our new audit team. We look forward to working with you next year. And Mandy, thank you very much for all your work on this.
And I'll violate my own rule and say maybe the early fall or late summer for a review of our budget. I don't want to get too close to, we're in election season. We have some issues to sort through, more information better. So obviously that's dependent on staff capacity and a number of issues that
Yes.
I recognize.
Yes.
So, okay.
Gotcha.
Thank you. All right, thank you for that report. Thank you, sir, for being here. Welcome to St. Helena.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to seeing you next year.
Absolutely, and we'll definitely be on time.
Thank you. All right, on to 13. Anybody need to take a quick break? Are you all ready to keep going?
They do a 5-minute break for the consultant.
5-minute break. Okay, we'll do that. We'll come back at 7:17. All right, we're going to reconvene our meeting and go on to item 13.3. I'll give the public a few seconds to come to order. All right. Mr. Bradley, we're ready to go? Everybody ready to go? All right.
Yes.
We're on to item 13.3. Mr. McCann.
Great. Thank you, council, and hello, Gary. Good to see you.
Hi, good to see you, Jim.
This item is a request to authorize the execution of a professional services agreement with Bob Murray and Associates to lead our recruitment efforts for the city to find a permanent city manager. We had some conversation about this earlier this year, and we moved forward with seeking proposals from firms that are involved in this type of recruitment effort. We got half a dozen, 7 different proposals, and the council had set up a subcommittee of the vice mayor and councilmember Barrick to work with me to look through those proposals and to recommend a preferred firm. We isolated 3 firms that we thought stood out from the group of 7, and we ultimately interviewed 2 firms. One firm dropped out due to a potential conflict of interests. And we selected Bob Murray and Associates to perform this work for us. Gary Phillips, who's here joining us, was, I'd say, instrumental in that decision. His presentation and just response to questions and flexibility that he demonstrated in sort of the unique, maybe not unique, but just areas that the council had an interest really seemed to be a good match for us. So the subcommittee has recommended that we move forward with Bob Murray and Associates. I asked Gary if he could join us. He's had a busy day. I think he was doing his recruitment thing and working with another body here in the Bay Area earlier today. So he is joining us after a long day. So appreciate that. The proposal is attached, so you can see all of the various tasks and ideas that Gary would provide. And what I can tell you is that I've worked with Gary and a number of other firms over the years, and I've enjoyed working with Gary, and I think he's done a very good job in those different searches that I have been involved in with him. And so I have great confidence in his firm, and I think he could do a good job for us, and I think the proposal outlines that. I know there are a couple of questions, perhaps, from you all about the proposal, and I'd be happy to answer those, or probably more appropriately for Mr. Phillips to do so.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McCann. Any initial clarifying questions for Mr. McCann or Mr. Phillips? Let me open it for public comment. Anyone wishing to make comment on this item? All right, I'll close public comment and bring it back to our council. First, I'll look to the members of the subcommittee, ask you to provide any insight or comments or thoughts about the matter, other than what has been said. Either one of you. If not, that's fine. We can live with it. You're both recommending that we approve this contract, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Any reservations? No. Okay.
Well, we had
Mayor.
a really nice conversation with Gary Phillips, Mr. Phillips, and so I think we felt comfortable after the conversation. So thank you for that. We felt good about it. We did speak, I think, at reasonable length about some things that we would, that might have been a little bit different. That's in the standard proposal, right, that is still attached to the contract. And so I would really love, we sort of spoke about, opening things up to beyond just the usual city manager Rolodex and really focusing on these leadership qualities, a recruitment that actively reaches beyond the traditional city manager pool, I think one request we had, which we may have actually spoken with after we got off the phone, was the ability to see all of the resume of the applicants. Of course, the finalists recommended, but even just being able to access those who maybe were qualified, but not necessarily making the top list and then not qualified. So I'd love to see that maybe in an updated proposal, just so we all, the way it reads now is it's a contract, but doesn't reflect that conversation. And then I have one other comment. Well, you want to start? Can we start with that? Is that doable? Can we update the proposal?
So is that to me or to Jim?
Let me just answer yes, if the council wishes to, add some provisions or make something more clear, we can certainly do that. So you can approve this with modifications, so long as Mr. Phillips is, understands that and is comfortable accepting those.
So if I can speak to that real quickly, Council and Jim, this is really not deviating from what we normally do. So, I mean, I'm very comfortable explicitly adding that language. But for us to look outside, the traditional markets, we do that all the time. So that's not that unique. It really, my clients often will give a criteria like that to say, hey, we're open to these non-traditional candidates, and we'll make sure that we do a broad nationwide recruitment and do targeted outreach to other markets for sure. And as far as making sure that you folks, council, get a chance to see everybody that applied, that's standard operating procedure for me. So that's not unique. So, but we can make sure that language is in the contract.
Yeah, that would be great, because I think it lists like all the places that will be marketed to, and they're pretty specific to, right, city managers. I had, can you cut me off if I'm off topic here? But I have one other related.
I would never do that, Vice Mayor. Go ahead.
No, please. I've heard some comments about the timeline on all of this, because we are getting to election season, and I know that this puts the selection right about at the election. So if it's possible to talk about now, I think it's something that we should be considering. And I don't know, I've actually seen on the social media that the folks in a nearby town that have already begun a recruitment are calling for the next council to make the decision. I see how it could be difficult. And I don't know how candidates could be kept abreast and able to make a decision once they're seated, but I do think it's something worth talking about at some time.
Mr. Barrett.
I would say I think, yeah, though that is out there for sure. I think we need to start the process on recruitment, though. We can't lose any time there. This can be a long process. This city, reputationally, et cetera, in our position, we might find that we need longer than, say, a traditional city that doesn't have our uniqueness. So that would be me. But I think when we get closer, we should have a robust conversation about details.
I have something to add as well. So I think we should also take into consideration, and maybe I missed this, but Mr. McCann's term here, how long that is and when we don't have someone, if that is an instance of, how much he's offered his time. I don't know about that, but that should be a pretty formal consideration for that timeline. And with that, I do agree that we need to start now to get going, especially if we're exploring above and beyond the normal range of candidates. I think that takes a little extra time too to get comfortable with whatever new skill sets are being assessed at that point in time.
I don't doubt that we should start now, and I'm excited to work with Mr. Phillips. I just wanted to bring these things up while we could. But I also want to make the point that I wish Mr. McCann would stay with us forever, but I know that that's not true and not possible. But I don't know if I think that should be a part of the timeline, because I think the bigger decision is more important than possibly being without Mr. McCann and someone else in his place for 2 months. I think that we have people who could step up and are training to be city managers who might do that.
I think Mr. McCann is in it to win it here until we get somebody else, but I'll let him speak for himself.
Maybe, I don't know if this is appropriate or not, Mr. Phillips, for you to weigh in on this. There are obviously a lot of moving parts. We don't know a lot right now. We don't really have a lot of input. We have competing cities. As it gets closer, say a month and a half, 2 months from now, we're going to know more about the market for Napa, particularly St. Helena. Obviously challenging in many ways. But I think it's a good point. I think there's all kinds of variables involved. I think, for example, speaking for myself, I understand the need for somebody who's going to be working with a city manager to have input. On the other hand, I do offer a fair amount of experience, having worked with 8 city managers over the life of 18 years, having been involved in all of those processes. So there's some experience value there that I could add. One, to work through the team and see that. I think it is important for folks who are going to be on the city council, particularly the next mayor, to be highly comfortable with their city manager, because you spend a lot of time, more time than I ever wanted to spend, but I spent a lot of time with the city managers that we've had. So there's give and take. I would hate to miss an opportunity because we decided, oh, we're going to wait. If somebody came, it was just really outstanding, and we've already made the commitment, no, we're not going to make that decision. So we're going to have to play it by ear to a certain degree, but keep that in mind for sure, and make our best judgment call as the issues arise. I think that's the best case scenario for us.
That's a good point.
I agree with that.
Anything else before I look for a motion to approve this contract with the slight changes? I don't even know we need to make an amendment there, but very slight changes, a commitment to go outside the box a little bit more. Mr. Walsh.
I would just make a motion to approve the contract with the recommended clarifying changes to the scope.
All right. That's the motion that we're looking for. Someone can say so moved, and we'll get there.
Did you open public comment?
I did.
Okay. Yep. Missed that.
I'll make a motion to accept the contract with the modifications that were discussed.
Second it.
Any more discussion from my colleagues? Anything else to add, Mr. Phillips?
I don't think so. I appreciate your approach to moving forward. There's a lot of different ways that we can, as we get closer to the election time, decide how we want to address the different options of working with the current council, working with the future council, or working with the candidates for council once we know who those are. There's a lot of different ways we can incorporate that moving forward.
All right. Thank you for the flexibility there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Bradley, there's a motion and a second.
Councilmember Barrick?
Yes.
Councilmember Diaz?
Yes.
Councilmember Spadarato?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Deasy?
Yes.
Mayor Doing?
Yes. All right.
And then,
that motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Mayor,
McCann.
there may be need for some input to Mr. Phillips as we move along. We have a subcommittee of 2 council members that help to make this selection. It would be helpful if we could rely on that subcommittee to be available to provide some input to Gary as we move along, mostly like in some initial brochure design and some of those things. That will come to council, but it's good to have some initial.
Yeah, I think the subcommittee will continue for the duration. Because Mr. Barrick is looking forward to it. He's got that look on his. You have been so selected. All right, we're on to item. I think that is a good idea. If anyone has issues on that, we'll make an adjustment. But
anything else, Gary?
No, I'm good. Looking forward to working with you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. We're on to item 14, City Council reports. Anyone with a burning need for making a report? I have a report. It's more in a written form. I think NBTA has graciously given us some items that we can deliver to you digitally, and I've forgotten to do that this week. I was distracted with a couple other things the last couple of weeks, so I'll send that out to you all so you know what's going on at NBTA. Anything else from my colleagues?
maybe just maybe a word on Finance Committee, upcoming agenda. We're busy, and thank you, Erica. I feel your pain, along with everybody else, on trying to find a date for the next Finance Committee. We're trying to have it as soon as practicable, where the entire Finance Committee is there, as well as myself, the mayor, and Jim, to discuss the subcommittee, the Class and Comp subcommittee draft, and our responses, our collective responses to that draft. So that's coming, and the expectation is after we have dialogue through that process, we should be getting, the next step is to get a Finance Committee report to council.
All right. Thank you for that, Ms. Barrett. Looks like we are ready to adjourn. Mr. Clerk, are we ready to adjourn? Then this meeting is adjourned. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your participation.